The traditional NFL scout is becoming extinct. Forget the eye test, forget the stopwatch. In today's NFL, neurological recovery rates and biometric efficiency scores are deciding careers before game film even loads. Welcome back to Victory Grid. Today we're breaking down one of the most radical transformations in professional football. Why NFL front offices are quietly abandoning traditional scouting in favor of advanced biometric performance data. This isn't evolution, it's a takeover. For decades, scouting was built on instinct. A veteran evaluator would stand on the sideline with a clipboard, trust his eyes, trust his gut, and trust the tape. He'd talk about body language, burst, bend. He's got that look. The stopwatch measured the 40-yard dash. The bench press measured strength. The rest was projection. That world is disappearing. Modern NFL front offices are no longer comfortable betting $200 million contracts on intuition. They're no longer satisfied with highlight reels or combine numbers. They want quantifiable, predictive, physiological certainty. And that's where biometrics changed everything. The death of the eye test didn't happen overnight. It happened slowly, then all at once. First came advanced GPS trackers embedded in shoulder pads. Then came sub-millimeter motion sensors stitched into compression gear. Then came 100 Hz tracking systems that record movement 100 times per second. Then sleep monitors, then heart rate variability analytics, then neurological fatigue mapping. What scouts once described as explosive can now be measured to a decimal point. Acceleration curves, force output, stride efficiency, joint torque symmetry, muscle firing latency. Traditional tape shows what happened. Biometric data explains why it happened. And more importantly, whether it will happen again. Manual stopwatches are laughably inaccurate compared to real-time velocity tracking. A 4.42-second 40-yard dash tells you almost nothing about how that player sustains speed under contact, decelerates, reaccelerates, or fatigues over 60 snaps. Now, teams track game speed instead of combine speed. Game speed measures peak velocity in live contact situations. It measures acceleration decay, how quickly a player loses burst after repeated plays. It measures how close a player operates to his maximum output during actual games, and this metric is reshaping player valuation, because peak velocity isn't just about speed, it's about ceiling. Front offices now analyze acceleration decay curves to determine whether a player's explosiveness is sustainable or artificially inflated by ideal conditions. Two receivers may both run a 4.40 at the combine, but biometric tracking might reveal one maintains 94% of peak velocity deep into the fourth quarter, while the other drops to 82% under fatigue. That difference is millions of dollars. The shift from prototype body types to internal efficiency metrics is even more disruptive. Historically, scouts prioritized measurable builds, height, arm length, weight, wingspan, but modern tracking shows that internal biomechanics often override aesthetics. A linebacker with average size but elite neuromuscular firing speed and recovery efficiency may outperform a physically imposing prospect whose energy system decays under stress. The league is learning that external appearance doesn't equal internal performance stability, and that leads directly into the neurological recovery revolution. For years, teams tracked workload externally: snaps played, miles run, collisions absorbed. Now they track internal workload, heart rate variability, sleep cycle quality, central nervous system fatigue, cortisol patterns, muscle micro-latency. The question is no longer, how much did he run? It's, how well did his body recover from running? Neurological recovery rates have become the hidden currency of roster decisions. Teams now know that performance is directly tied to central nervous system readiness. If neurological fatigue lingers, reaction time drops. Decision-making slows. Injury risk spikes. Real-time biometric dashboards tell coaches whether a player's CNS is primed or suppressed. Practice intensity adjusts accordingly. Game day activation decisions are influenced by microscopic recovery markers invisible to the naked eye. Some teams now identify injury-prone athletes before injuries happen. Micro-delays in muscle firing patterns can indicate soft tissue vulnerability weeks before a strain occurs. Subtle asymmetries in gait mechanics can reveal joint stress accumulation before pain surfaces. Predictive modeling flags players as high risk based on physiological drift patterns. The eye test can't see that, but a wearable can. This transformation extends beyond injury prevention into roster construction itself. General managers are beginning to build units based on complementary biological traits. Defensive lines are assembled not just by position, but by metabolic compatibility. One player with high burst but moderate recovery is paired with another whose recovery rate is elite, balancing rotational efficiency. Draft boards now include recoverability scores. Mid-round prospects with elite neurological rebound metrics are sometimes prioritized over more productive college stars whose internal fatigue profiles project long-term decline. Highlight reels don't matter if your central nervous system can't sustain NFL tempo. Algorithmic player valuation models now assign weighted value to biometric ceilings. A cornerback with average college production but elite acceleration retention metrics might rank higher than a decorated All-American whose data suggests early physical regression. Data scientists are increasingly influential in war rooms once dominated by former players and career scouts. Tension is rising. Traditional evaluators argue that data lacks context. They believe instincts, competitiveness, and football IQ can't be measured by sensors. Meanwhile, analytics departments counter that instincts mean little if the body can't execute at elite thresholds. Ownership is siding with data because data reduces risk, and in a salary cap league, reducing risk equals survival. But this revolution raises uncomfortable questions. Biometric tracking doesn't stop at practice. Many teams monitor players year-round. Sleep cycles, off-season workouts, recovery habits, stress markers. The line between performance optimization and privacy invasion is becoming blurry. If a player's neurological recovery trends downward during contract negotiations, does that impact his market value? If biometric projections suggest a physical ceiling decline 2 years into a 5-year deal, do teams hesitate to commit? Players are beginning to push back, because the same data that enhances performance can also suppress earnings. There's also the philosophical concern. What happens when algorithms replace intuition entirely? If AI-driven physiological simulations can model how a player's body will age, adapt, or break down, does the NFL Combine become obsolete? Imagine a future where prospects upload multi-year biometric histories into a league-wide database. No drills, no bench press, no 40-yard dash. Just predictive modeling that simulates career arcs based on neuromuscular profiles and metabolic resilience. That future isn't far away. Front offices are already running internal simulations that project peak windows, regression timelines, and injury probabilities using machine learning fed by years of biometric datasets. Scouting isn't dying. It's mutating. The scout of 2030 might look less like a former linebacker with a notebook and more like a performance analyst with a physiology background and coding expertise. But here's the deeper implication. Football has always been about controlled violence and calculated risk. Biometrics reduce uncertainty. They optimize bodies. They extend careers. They minimize catastrophic losses. But they also strip away some of the unpredictability that defined the sport. The underdog who just wanted it more may struggle to beat a model that predicts his physiological limits before he proves them wrong. And that's the tension shaping the league right now. The NFL is no longer asking, can he play? It's asking, how long can he sustain elite output and at what neurological cost? The teams that master biometric modeling will construct rosters that aren't just talented, they're biologically optimized. The franchises that cling solely to tradition will eventually fall behind. Because in today's NFL, the stopwatch is obsolete. The future belongs to the sensor.